Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Live Dharma. My name is Kathleen. My Dharma name is Won Haju. And this morning and the last couple of weeks, I think we've all been enjoying this cool yin air that's sort of been flowing in a little bit and settling our hot summer energy. So I'm hoping this beautiful balance will be part of our meditation experience this morning. Today, Reverend Qi Gong is going to share her Dharma talk, Harvesting the Fields of Our Minds. Let's begin with reciting the essential dharmas of daily practice on page 11. The essential dharmas of daily practice. The mind is originally free from disturbance, but disturbances arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the equanimity of our true nature by letting go of disturbances. The mind is originally free from delusion, but delusions arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the wisdom of our true nature by letting go of delusions. The mind is originally free from wrongdoing, but wrongdoings arise in response to sensory conditions. Let us restore the precepts of our true nature by letting go of wrongdoings. Let us replace disbelief, greed, laziness, and ignorance with belief, zeal, questioning, and dedication. Let us turn resentment into gratitude. Let us turn dependency into self-reliance. Let us turn reluctance to learn into willingness to learn well. Let us turn reluctance to teach into willingness to teach well. Let us turn lack of public spirit into eagerness to serve the good of all. Now we're going to stand up and have a few moments of relaxing Qi Gong. So as more folks are coming in the back, if folks up here if you can take a step forward, that will be really helpful to friends still arriving. Thank you. All right, let's begin by moving our feet shoulder width apart and pause for a moment. And we're going to just sway a little bit like trees in the wind. Back and forth, around. Feel that connection between your feet and the floor. And slowly find your really most grounded center point and settle there. And just like a tree, we're going to sway. But we're going to, from the hips down, it's going to be really solid, like a trunk of a tree. We're just going to slowly shift our torso and arms, just gently. It won't be a big movement. Settle into a pattern of breathing and turning. Now, as you're turning, sink down, bend your knees a little bit, and now release your hips. Really feel that freedom. Your arms might slap against your hip or back. Your feet are grounded. slowly come back to a still position and rest. We're going to do something now called the first brocade. There are 8 of them. This is the first one. With our feet planted, we're going to be latching our fingers together, and we're going to do a motion with our fingers latched one way. But the second time we do it, as Reverend Won says, we're going to latch them the uncomfortable, unfamiliar way, and then we'll go back and forth. So let's start with our fingers latched your most comfortable way. As we breathe in, we're going to bring our hands up. At heart center, they turn towards the ceiling, and we look straight ahead, and you can come up on your toes if you wish. And then release, coming down, bending our knees, bringing our fingers together the unfamiliar way, up, breathing in, turning towards the ceiling, head forward, breathing out and coming down. This time, we're going to come up. And as we come up, our head is going to go down and release. Relaxing into our knees. Our hands turn the unfamiliar way. Head turns down towards the floor. And release. This time, our head is going to go back. Release. Our hands weave together the unfamiliar way. Breathing in. And releasing, coming back. Now let's give our feet a little TLC. We're going to do this by shifting our weight to one side. Then we're going to turn our foot forward so the front of our foot is pressing into the floor. And just turn your leg back and forth. Feel a nice stretch on the top of your foot and your ankles. Let's switch sides. Beautiful. Coming back, we're going to give our knees some TLC. Keep your weight on one side, bring your foot out to the other, and turn your toes up. And then you can bend this knee, lean over, and really massage your knee all around. The top, the sides, the back. Lovely. Come up, return, and let's go to the other side. Okay, lovely. This time, we're going to move like we are shooting an arrow. So our arms come up. One hand pushes the other sideways. One hand comes back. Our pointing hand comes forward like this, like an L with your index finger and thumb. Pull, pull, pull. Hold your breath. Release, bringing both hands back. Pushing to the other side. Pull back. Focus. Holding your breath. Release. Come back. Come back. As you do this, move with your breath. Hold your breath if you're stretched out. Release. One more time on each side. Coming back. Beautiful. Come back to the center. Now we're going to push heaven and push earth. Our hands come up as we breathe in. One hand goes forward, the other hand is pushed back behind us. Stretch as much as you can, holding your breath. Release and come down. Pushing heaven and earth. Push, push, push. Release. Push and release. And back to center. For our last movement, we're going to breathe in, extend our arms, and from the hips, come forward, bringing our arms into an energy ball. Then bending your knees slightly, come up slowly. When your hands are at your heart, they'll turn towards the ceiling and release. This time, our hands will come up and we're going to push out and push, push, push with your feet, your arms, your hands, your head high, holding your breath and release. One more time. Breathing in, bending forward. Energy ball. Coming up slowly. Our hands come up, breathing in, pushing out. Arms, hands, legs, feet, head. Hold your breath and release. Please join now for 4 bows to Dharmakaya Buddha. You're welcome to do standing bows or full bows. If you do full bow, stand behind your mat for knee padding.
With gratitude, I bow to the grace of heaven and earth, honoring the marvelous gift of nature and the universe. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of parents and everyone who has given me life and nurtured me. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of fellow beings, the truth of interconnectedness among all beings. With gratitude, I bow to the grace of laws, which guides us, protects us, and promotes justice.
Adam, would you
Meditation is simple and easy. Please take time to find your most comfortable position on the floor or in a chair. Wiggle to release any tension and focus on the energy in your lower abdomen. This is your Danjon, the power center for your breathing. When we settle our mind and energy in our Danjon, our energy flows and protects our one-focused mind. Bring your awareness to your tongue. Place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. When you do this, pure and clear saliva may gather under your tongue, a delightful sign of cool energy ascending. Smile at your calm and clear spirit. If your legs ache unbearably, you may change your position very slowly and quietly. In this way, you maintain a calm stillness and honor the silent practice of those around you. When thoughts arise, do not play with them. Simply allow them to disappear by themselves. Continue to bring your awareness back to your Danjon abiding breath. When your mind is calm, concentrated, perfectly focused and at peace, you will rest in the realm of samadhi, deep meditation. We are grateful to sit here quietly together, finding the still point within. In meditation, may our ever calm, ever bright spirit be with us.
Youngju, page 4. Youngju, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth settles in my being. My spirit penetrates all things as my mind wills. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth.
Prayer for world peace. Grace of heaven and earth.
Grace of parents, grace of fellow beings, grace of laws. O Dharmakaya Buddha, fourfold grace, may we take refuge in Dharma and be filled with compassion and wisdom. May we transform delusion into wisdom, greed into generosity, resentment into gratitude, discord into harmony, and hatred into compassion. May all nations grow and benefit mutually. May the strong help the weak, and may the weak learn and evolve according to Dharma. May all those who have died from world conflicts and disasters be delivered through all obstacles and be at rest. May there be peace throughout the world, and may all beings enjoy tranquility and happiness, living in their original true nature. This we pray with our whole hearts. Kanjori, Wana
손길 닿는 곳 내 발길 머무는 곳 내 음성 말해지는 곳 내 마음 향하는 곳마다 우리 모두 다 함께 우리 모두 다 함께 성부 제주 인연이 되어지다.
Wish and pray, sincerely and truly, where my hands touch the world, where my feet walk on the earth, where my voice echoes through the hills, and all realms where my heart and mind reach, that we all together, share a true affinity for attaining great enlightenment and for helping all living beings. Yuan Song Vow, page 9. Yuan Song Vow. Yuan is the realm of samadhi beyond words and speech, the gateway of birth and death, transcending being and non-being, the origin of heaven and earth, parents, fellow beings, and lost the true nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, unenlightened people, and sentient beings. Yuan manifests as both permanence and impermanence, viewed as permanence. Yuan unfolds into an infinite world that is ever abiding, spontaneous, just as it is viewed as impermanence. Yuan unfolds into infinite worlds through the cycle of formation, duration, decay, and extinction of the universe, and the birth, aging, illness, and death of all beings, according to how we use our minds and bodies. In the four forms of birth, we transform through the 6 realms of existence, progressing or regressing, with grace arising from harm or harm from grace. Therefore we unawakened beings vow to practice wholeheartedly, modeling ourselves after Yuan Song, the Dharma Kaya Buddha, by cultivating our minds and bodies deeply, knowing human affairs and universal principles thoroughly, and using our minds and bodies skillfully, thus progressing rather than regressing, and receiving grace rather than harm, until we attain the great empowerment of Yuan and become one with the nature of Yuan.
This morning, Reverend Won Gong is sharing her Dharma Talk, Harvesting the Field of Our Minds. Let's practice deep listening as we warmly welcome Reverend Won Gong.
Good morning. The founding teacher of Won Buddhism said, the way in which wholesome and unwholesome mental states arise from our true nature is like the way various types of crops or weeds grow in a field. The foundation of our mind is called the field of the mind. Just as we may cultivate a bare field to make it productive, we may cultivate the field of our minds to gain wisdom and blessings. People who cultivate their mind field well are like good farmers who keep weeding their fields again and again until they eliminate all the weeds and grow only crops, thereby producing a good harvest. In the same way, we must diligently investigate the arising of our wholesome and unwholesome mental states. Each time an unwholesome thought arises, let us weed it out. We must do it. We must do this over and over. This will nourish our wholesome mental state. Wisdom and blessings will then be abundant. People who do not cultivate their mind fields well are like farmers who disregard whether weeds or crops sprout and so have nothing to harvest. Likewise, if we disregard our mental states, whether they are wholesome or unwholesome, and if we act just as we please, there will be more suffering, and the path to wisdom and blessings will recede. Therefore, our myriad transgressions and merits depend on nothing other than whether or not we cultivate our mind fields well. How can we be negligent in this matter? In our temple grounds, we grow vegetables, flowers, and many other plants. So this passage about cultivating and harvesting our mind field always speaks to me. In our mind field, an infinite number of mental seeds are dropped, planted, and grown. What we cultivate becomes what we harvest. It is the essence of our life's journey. That's why this mind field analogy is so helpful, and its lesson is so powerful. So let me read again this quote from verse 59, chapter 3 on practice. The founding teacher of Won Buddhism said, the way in which wholesome and unwholesome mental states arise from our true nature is like the way various types of crops or weeds grow in a field. The foundation of our mind is called the field of the mind. Just as we may cultivate a bare field to make it productive, we may cultivate the field of our minds to gain wisdom and blessings. People who cultivate their mind fields well are like good farmers who keep weeding their fields again and again until they eliminate all the weeds and grow only crops, thereby producing a good harvest. In the same way, we must diligently investigate the arising of our wholesome and unwholesome mental states. Each time an unwholesome thought arises, let us weed it out. We must do this over and over. This will nourish our wholesome mental state. Wisdom and blessings will be then abundant. People who do not cultivate their mind feels well are like farmers who disregard whether weeds or crops sprout or so have nothing to harvest. Likewise, if we disregard our mental states, whether they are wholesome or unwholesome, and if we act just as we please, there will be more suffering, and the path of wisdom and blessings will recede. Therefore, our myriad transgressions and merits depend on nothing other than whether or not we cultivate our mind feels well. How can we be negligent in this matter? From this Dharma passage, what thoughts or questions stand out for you? Master Sutta-san emphasizes over and over that we must eliminate our mind weeds to ensure a wholesome harvest. This story reminds us not to become complacent. Weeds never sleep. And then before we know it, our mind field becomes an overgrown mess. We all know that it is much more work to clean up an overgrown mess in the garden than it is to mindfully pull small weeds before they grow strong and take over. I can hear Master Sutta-san's voice, don't give up. Be patient and diligent, farming your mind. The predominant weeds in our temple garden that we often tackle are stilt grass, creeping Charlie, and wiregrass. What are your major mind weeds? What are your major mind weeds? Laziness, complaining, blaming, comparing, being judgmental, self-doubt, self-degrading shame, despair, guilt from the past, anxiety and fear of an uncertain future. How do we recognize our unwholesome mind states? Sometimes this is obvious, and sometimes it is not. We may not even know what is going on until our bodies let us know with the feelings of exhaustion, heaviness, muscle tension, a racing heart, and so on. Wholesome and unwholesome. It can be argued that this is a dualistic perspective. However, distinguishing the wholesome from the unwholesome guides our thoughts and actions in a beneficial way. In our chive garden, very similar looking weeds grow among the chives. It is often hard to distinguish between them. So sometimes when a temple volunteer petty harvests chives, I end up eating weeds. Well, it really wasn't Patty who did that, but she said I can use her name. Cultivate diligently, but don't become attached to the outcome. We have a very healthy amaryllis plants right in front of the temple entrance. Last week, after blossoming, the leaves of the plants shine with their lush green color. Have you seen that? I have been pulling weeds around the amaryllis while enjoying the exuberant green of their thick leaves. Last week, Reverend Sean and I were cleaning up some vines that were turning brown. Then I saw he just cut off our healthy green amaryllis plants completely. Oh no, I cried out. Why did you do that? Can't you see those plants are so healthy and beautiful? Obviously, Reverend Sean did not recognize which plants we keep and which ones we are clearing out. But for me, it was painful to look at the cut plants laying there on the branch pile. So I walked away to calm my mind. Years ago, we worked hard throughout the hot summer to grow some veggies. And one morning, all the veggies were nibbled away by deer and rabbits. Such despair we experienced. Since then, we built a fence. Attachments to the yummy crops and beautiful flowers we grow can create suffering. Wonderful values and good intentions which we nurture in our mind can also create suffering if we attach to them. Although we strive to cultivate a wholesome state of mind, we should not become attached to it. In our original true nature, there is no judgment on what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. Now, let's think about how to expand toward wholesome, healthy mental states by focusing on our good intentions and loving qualities. Our mental, emotional energy can be exhausted when we ruminate on the negative with a judging mind. When we do this, our mind field has less space for nurturing the wholesome. To create spaciousness in our mind field, we train our minds with the tools of our practice, mantras, koan contemplation, chanting, scripture study, journaling, Qi Gong, and simply spending time in nature. For example, meditation is a great tool for letting go of crowded, habitual thoughts. Once those thoughts are released again and again, meditation leads us to a calm, clear state of mind. This state is expressed as original mind ground, the realm of Il-Wan-Sang, our true nature. One of our temple friends often says about growing plants, "Oh, I always kill plants. I don't have a green thumb." But when it comes to cultivating our mind, please don't say that you don't have a green thumb. We are all born with the green thumbs for mind cultivation. Our pure mind knows instinctively how to encourage healthy growth. Master Sotaesan teaches us 3 specialized methods for cultivating the mind field. The first method is to clear the ground. Before we plant any seeds, we remove weeds and add good soil from our compost. Through meditation, we let go of cluttered thoughts to prepare for clear, open mind ground. The second method is to learn various farming techniques and learn to distinguish between crops and weeds through inquiry and contemplation. The third method is to put into practice what we have learned, so we can reap an abundant harvest. Even if we prepare clear, rich soil, and even if we have equipped ourselves with the knowledge, without implementation, nothing happens, and weeds start to grow back. A temple sister, Rachel, shared these questions. When pulling weeds from the garden, isn't it important to pull them before their seeds can fall to the ground? Is there a similar principle in mind gardening? My answer is, through our past thoughts, words, and actions, we drop karmic seeds into our bed of consciousness. When the necessary conditions arise, those seeds become the weeds of unwholesome mental states. Have you heard the word like my mind filtered with my preconceived notions, and prejudice. They are like the seeds of weeds planted in our consciousness bed, and when it's triggered, it came out in that way. However, one cannot totally prevent weed seeds from falling to the ground. They will constantly sprout and germinate. So personally, I would not worry about trying to catch every little seed and pull out every little weed. Instead of trying to get rid of all of them, clear some space and plant something else that has a strong force. For example, in the fall, we plant garlic in our garden patch. Another good crop I'd like to plant is spinach. Garlic and spinach don't die back in the winter. They continue to gain strength from the winter sunlight and rain. Once established, they grow taller and stronger, winning out over the hungry weeds. In the same way, we plant good intentions in our minds and nurture them. For example, gratitude is like garlic or spinach in our minds. Gratitude and good intentions will establish themselves and overpower the fleeting weeds of our mental defilements. When we feel overwhelmed with our weedy minds, it is good to turn to the community for support. Just as our temple garden cannot be managed without helping hands, our mind feels benefit from community cultivation. We borrow tools from each other. We get inspired by each other's insights. We learn from each other's trials and errors. When we see someone active and diligently farming their mind garden, we are inspired and encouraged. In our temple garden, each vegetable has its season, but the mind garden produces crops when? Year-round. In our minds, we plant, nurture, and harvest in the fall, winter, spring, and summer. So together we share the joys of our wholesome harvest throughout the year. Are you with me? My heart soars when our temple friends share how their practice is a source that anchors them through life's challenges, such as health issues, struggles with work, relationships, or coping with the loss of a loved one. When the mind feels it's well cultivated and growing wholesome fruit, its abundance is returned to us through beneficial relationships and ease. Dear friends, along your practice journey, have you harvested blessings and wisdom? What benefits have you received from cultivating your mind field this year? Would you care to share the joy of your harvest, even if it's a tiny one, with the community? On this lovely autumn day, let us turn to our neighbors and share the harvest of our mind cultivation. Online friends may share through the chat room. to celebrate our season of harvest, September and autumn season. Our children, Buddha, Bodhi and Kras, Reverend Sean prepared a happy Chango Korean drumming sound for us. Please welcome them. Thank you. Thank you, Bodhi and Chris. Excellent job. You can stay there. Well, right after our children's summer camps, we had some mini Chango, like a small group private Chango lesson sessions, and several kids joined. And Bodhi and Chris, they keep coming, and they practiced yesterday, the other day, and even if you are not a child, you can also have, as a grown-up, have Chango session with the Reverend Sean. He is a really wonderful Chango drumming teacher, and this is another way to cultivate our focused mind, clear our mind ground. Give Bodhi and Chris big applause one more time, please. Thank you.
You guys are on fire. Wow. They got a big brother who helps them too. A few announcements. And thank you all for practicing today. For another opportunity to practice, you are invited to join our community meditation gathering at our peaceful Raleigh temple at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Our temple has a weekly rhythm of practice. In addition to Saturday and Sunday morning gatherings, every morning at 6:30 for a peaceful and longer meditation. Every Tuesday, we hold a peaceful evening meditation. Every Wednesday, we have decluttering meditation. And every Thursday, we have scripture study sessions at 10 a.m. via Zoom and at 7 p.m. via Zoom or in person. All are welcome. By being in our community email group, you will receive updates about all these programs and more. September is a good time to be in the garden, hint, hint, meditating, sitting, lying down, and also meditating while working. That's one of the features of Won Buddhism. It's not just about sitting on the cushion, right? It's putting it into mindful action. If any of you are available to help our garden, just stay for a few minutes after this session or contact our reverends. Fallen branches, weeds, and tending the garden paths are calling. We always appreciate and thank you for your thoughtful donations. Heads up, on an unrelated note, the fall open house will be at the end. What's the date of that?
Last Sunday in October.
Last Sunday in October from 1 to 4 here. It's a lot of fun, just planting that seed. Now let us turn to page 13 and bless each other with our morning prayer song.
1, 2, 3, 4. Dhammakaya Buddha, fourfold grace. I begin a new day in your presence. Today full of health and with peace of mind. May I walk along the path of the Buddha. Dhammakaya Buddha, fourfold grace. I begin a new day with your grace. Today gratefully and with gentle words. May I live in harmony with all those I meet. Dhammakaya Buddha, fourfold grace. I begin a new day with compassion. Today making the world a more loving place. May I do all that I can for one world. Children, please stand up. We had a children meditation today. Anyone who are in the children's session, and then all the helping teachers from children's room, stand up. Give our children big applause for their practice. Thank you. And you can sit down now. You can sit down now. And thank you all our volunteer teachers. Like we have a teenager who is also helping, and also we have temple volunteer teachers who are running our children's meditation activity program every second and fourth Sunday. Now we are going to have meditation going home. It's called meditation in transition. And with listening to the singing bowl sound super slowly, you're welcome to pick up your mat. Return your mat to the closet on the back. And also, as we walk out, and share the greeting energy, especially someone you never met. And thank you, and enjoy our garden if you have a few minutes walking around. Enjoy the beautiful sunshine today. 감사합니다. And waving hands to our friends online over there, Mr. Sony.